Here we go. Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today is what? Oh, man! Oh, my God! Kids, gather around because today's our annual look into Len Penzo's Magic 8 Ball that predicts the future with amazing inaccuracy. On today's show, we'll relive the events of the last year and see what lessons we learned. And we'll make some new predictions about the Roaring Twenties. Today, we welcome from Afford Anything, Paula Pant. And from this podcast, OG. Plus, from lenpenzo.com, you're not going to believe it, it's Ryan Seacrest. Oh, what's that? Oh, we couldn't get him again. Still sleeping? Oh, that guy's so lazy. Okay, I guess we're going to have to just stick with Len Penzo. Oh, and though, we're going to magnify someone's money with special guest, the head of Magnify Money, Brian Karimzad. And just because you've been so good, we'll knock off our first Friday FinTech segment of 2020 by wondering aloud about where the future's headed for financial technology with Ryan Falvey from Financial Ventures Studio. And now, the guy who got confused when they said there'd be an 8-ball today, Joe Saul-Sehy.
There isn't pool? This is a basement. Aren't you supposed to have a pool table in the basement? Hey, everybody. Welcome to our second show of the new year. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, Average Joe Money on Twitter. And it is our favorite episode. By the way, this is the first episode we've done in a long time where I've had emails from people thinking they missed it because they thought that we did it over the holiday season, and we didn't do it. They're like, I think when did the Magic 8 Ball episode come out? Well, it's coming out right now because across the card table from me, ready to challenge the wisdom of the 8 Ball, it's Mr. OG.
It's funny that you thought it was pool, because I thought 8 Ball was something else.
Oh, you thought it was
not pool.
Not pool. That's very, very something not pool. Let's not even go there. Let's just let that go away.
Swing and a miss.
Yes.
It's a common tattoo.
An 8 Ball is a common tattoo?
It is, yes. It's a common tattoo. In fact, I think Lisa Lopez from TLC, the late Lisa Lopez from TLC, had a tattoo of an 8 Ball.
How the hell do you know that?
Exactly.
Like, out of all the people to bring that up, well, you know, on Star Wars, Rey really is.
You know, I don't know much pop culture trivia, but what I do know is extremely obscure.
And that voice right there is the one and only Paula Pant from Afford Anything.
I always refer to the game as billiards rather than pool, because pool makes me think of a swimming pool, whereas billiards is that green table with the balls.
I'm sure that's what OG thought it was. He thought they were talking about swimming pools. Yes. And the guy who, we got to find out if he has a swimming pool in the bunker. It's Mr. Len Penzo.
No, but I have a moat around the bunker.
Of course you do. An alligator-filled moat. Yes.
Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year to you, man. So you defended the speakeasy fairly well on January 1st.
I thought I did. I thought I did a good job there. I think Doug got a little out of hand, but yeah.
On this show,
we did.
It's absolutely horrible. Well,
You didn't see that password thing.
I was glad I only had to hear it. Hey, guess what, everybody? We got a great show today. We got Len, Paula, OG, and we've got Len's Magic 8 Ball. So let's get this party started. So for those of you who are new to this shindig, here's what we do. Every year, we ask our Magic 8 Ball. I say ours liberally because Mr. Penzo spent the $6.99 to buy it. So
$16.99.
Well, remember, we upgraded this year, Joe. We've got the talking.
You didn't send us the expense for that, the receipt, so we can pay you for that thing. You got to make sure.
I didn't know. Can I do that?
Absolutely.
You can try.
All right.
You can definitely try to send it in.
Len, I'm surprised you didn't
reimbursed.
I'm surprised you didn't just try to make one.
I could have, I guess.
You probably could have, Mr. Engineer.
It would have been better because I could have had OG's voice or actually Doug's voice would have been even more hilarious.
But think about what the answers would have been. If it's OG, over and over, it would have just said, outcome doubtful.
Sha, as if.
Every single time. Like, I don't know if I like this 8-ball. Before we get started, I want to rewind to this little topic that Len, you kicked off with this. I think maybe you'd had too much New Year's cheer before you started this last year.
What are you talking about, Joe? I don't remember.
Listen to this.
And by the way, before we go any further, I'm going to, right now, I'm going to go on the record. LenPenzo.com will donate $50 for every correct answer next year.
What? Wow. Hey, remember that, Len?
No, I don't.
How many cold?
Yes, I do.
How many cold schlitzes had you had before you made that prediction?
Oh, I'm sure I had a few. I'm sure.
A few too many PBRs before you got all crazy. Because the Len Penzo I know would have said, I'm going to donate $4 for every right answer.
I'm just glad I didn't slip and say $500.
That's right. That is good. I did go to a charity auction once where I bid on something after they'd filled us full of wine. And this is horrible, but I had to write them the next day and tell them I can't do that.
My bad.
I did that.
You can try to cash that check, or we can just agree on a number that's going to maybe make us all a little bit more comfortable when we go to the bank.
I made them a nice donation because I felt horrible, but I'm like, there is no way in hell. But what a great trick for a charity. Hey, go to this wine tasting thing, and once everybody has had maybe a few too many, let's start bidding on expensive stuff. Joe's hand goes in the air. And you get people
to match. You get people to match your bid.
Yes. Well, and that's what happened. I remember I raised my hand because a friend of mine had his, and I thought that somebody else was going to bid higher, and then nobody bid higher. And Cheryl's like, what the hell did you do? Like, whoops. And that's what Len Penzo did here last year. $50. He thought OG was going to say 60. Then Paula was going to say 75. We just hung him out to dry. But that means there's a little pressure on the 8-ball this year, Len.
Yeah, a little pressure on me too.
Well, maybe not.
Maybe it's the first time ever I've been rooting against my 8-ball. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe it's on
I'm
your.
Just kidding.
A little pressure on your wallet.
No, I'm hoping. I'm hoping for a perfect score. That would be great.
All right, here we go. So, Paula, last year we kicked it off with you. Let's go back in time and listen to your first question last year. Paula, let's start with you. Kick us off. 2019. What do we want to ask the 8-ball?
Will Harry and Meghan have a son? We know that Meghan Markle is pregnant. The baby is going to be born in 2019. Will it be a boy?
Well, before we ask Len what the 8-ball said, Paula, what happened there?
Yes, Harry and Meghan did have a boy, and his name is Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor.
And what's
easy for you to say?
That's
prove me wrong.
That's only, Len, 2 more middle names than you have.
Well, I think I went to a school with a Mountbatten once.
Actually, Mountbatten Windsor is a hyphenated last name, so he only has 1 middle name.
I thought you climbed Mountbatten, didn't you?
I suppose you might. You could climb almost any mountain. Well, you might not be able to.
Oh, easy.
A person could.
Well, I'm sitting right here, Paula. We just started the podcast and the old guy joke starting already. So it did happen. Let's see if the 8-ball predicted it. Len?
Okay, here we go. See, it's getting dark here, so I have to put my flashlight on. Reply hazy. Try again.
Wait.
And by the way, this starts a theme that we're going to hear throughout the podcast of 8-ball trying to get off the hook. But let's go back.
Len, you have to put your flashlight on? Your bunker
dark.
Doesn't have overhead light?
My 8-ball is not lit up. I didn't buy the expensive 8-ball. This is
the room doesn't have lights? Like, do you not have electricity where you are?
I'm trying to keep the ambiance here. There's an ambiance. Okay, let's see.
The bunker ambiance.
It says outlook good.
Outlook good. Harry and Meghan are having a...
And it got off on the right foot, Paula.
That's excellent. So that means the 8-Ball got it right, and Len's net worth is minus $50.
Let's talk about this, though. I'm not really concerned about the royal family, but I am concerned a lot of people that listen to the show might have had kids last year, right? Now, maybe Harry and Meghan don't have to worry about, like, college being covered.
Right.
Might not be
or health insurance.
Yes. Len, what were some things that surprised you when your two children were born? Financially surprised you?
I was going to say, well, they didn't look anything like me.
That's a whole different show. That after your kids are born, you went on what's that guy's name?
I went on the rampage looking for the milkman. That's what I did.
Maury
Povich.
You are not the father.
No, that's not very nice.
No, but seriously, you know what? Hey, let me tell you, the kids cost money at every stage of life, as you know, Joe,
Every
and
stage.
know, OG. Every stage. And I mean, when you're first born, you get your first kick in the gut with the diapers and well, if you're breastfeeding, you don't have formula. We went through, we did not do the breastfeeding, so we did the formula, which is very expensive as well. I mean, and it kicks you. It's a kick to the gut.
Len tried to do the breastfeeding, and he just couldn't get it to work. Sorry. Maybe not. First thing, OG, that you thought financially when you had kids, same thoughts?
You know, I always think that when you're having kids, different people think different things. Like, I just worried, like, how the heck am I going to pay for all this? That's all I was thinking about. Everything. And it's still, just like Len said, I mean, today, major problem in the OG household. My 10-year-old's Xbox ran out of storage space. And he was just distraught because he has 2 new games to download, but it means we're deleting another game that he's wanting to play. And so this struggle of good versus evil is just this never-ending battle. It turns out the solution is an $80 4-terabyte hard drive.
Oh, my God.
Boom. Problem solved. OG superstar. And better yet, it was Amazon Prime, so it came in like 2 hours, and I look like a hero.
Or there's a different solution, which is kid choose. Decisions are hard. Choose one.
Hey, let me give you another. Hey, and you don't think you're ever going to get out of this. And there's no such thing as a safe hobby for your kids either. I'm going to tell you about my daughter. When she got into ninth grade, she wanted to be on the flag team, the flag girls. I thought, oh, that's a great hobby. You know, while she's in school, she can be part of the flag team and what they call color guard. And it was great. And then the bills started coming in. Believe it or not, I was spending $4,000 a year for the color guard
at a public school.
Yep, at a public school. So over 4 years, I spent $16,000 on color guard.
Wow. Boy, I thought swimming was going to be inexpensive, right? You need a bathing suit. Don't need anything else. Holy cow. The constant money coming out my wallet. Paula, what's the best advice that you've always had for young parents when you do your Ask Paula episodes?
You know, oftentimes before a couple has kids, when they make a decision to buy a house or to purchase a car or any types of those decisions, they will make that decision on having 2 incomes. But if they think that they might reduce to 1 income or 1.5 incomes at some point in the future, then what I tell them is, hey, plan your budget as though you only have 1 income and start living like that now and saving the other one. That way you get used to living on 1 income and you accumulate the savings of the other person's income so that if you do in the future reduce down to 1 or 1.5 incomes, you'll be prepped for it. You know, you won't like have a mortgage that you took out 5 years ago that was premised on the idea of dual income.
Well, I like doing that even if you don't have children, you know, living on whatever. You see these football players, Len, you might have seen this before, these football players that bank their salary and live off the endorsements and like even developing these new income streams, even if you're single and saving the extra income stream, a great idea.
That's a fantastic idea. And if you keep track of something, it's amazing how much your side income will bring in over the course of 10, 20 years. I mean, it is really a significant figure. So don't discount, even if it's coming in a little bits and drabs at a time, it really does add up.
Let's see what OG's got here as the second question for the 8 Ball.
A lot of stuff going on these days about Elon Musk. Just launched the thing into space and did the stuff with trying to get people on Mars and all that sort of stuff. SpaceX, I guess, right? But my question is about Tesla, because he runs his mouth a lot about Tesla. Really right now, 50-50. Is Tesla going to be bankrupt at the end of next year?
And it turns out that not only, OG, was Tesla not bankrupt, Tesla had a hell of a last month of the year.
Those really super ugly trucks.
Bringing the share price up on Tesla.
Bulletproof glass, but not rock-proof.
Not at all rock-proof.
You cannot throw a leaded weight. You can do that, but not a speeding bullet. So, yep.
Let's see.
I don't know anything about Tesla. I go back and forth on their cars, whether or not are they cool or are they not cool? Are they going to blow up? Do they just smash into things? And then I just kind of wonder, it's really expensive, but since it's mainly electronics, is it super upgradable over a long period of time? Or is it like any other vehicle where, after a while, the tech just kind of, you got to get a new one. It just wears out, and you just spent 50% more for a car. I don't know. Any ideas on that, Mr. Engineer? You're giggling. You must have like 3 Teslas or something. That's why you're...
No, I have no Teslas. One, I can't afford a Tesla. For one thing.
See, that's what I mean.
But what scares me really is the batteries. What happens when those batteries wear out?
And they go.
Let alone them. That's going to get expensive all by itself.
You can't take those things on an airplane because they just randomly start on fire on occasion. But apparently, it's cool to like have underneath your behind as you're barreling down the road at 90 miles an hour, playing on your phone because it's on autopilot.
Well, some people, though, really believe in Tesla because just looking at the chart here, and in October, trading at about 250. As we record this, the day before it's live, trading at 430. So Tesla in the last 2 months.
So it more than doubled in 3 months.
Monster.
Okay.
Not quite double, but
not bad.
But nice math, Mr. Engineer.
What was it at the beginning? What was it at the beginning of the year? Did it start and then go down and then come back up again? What was it at?
This time last year, it was trading at about 300. Went up very early in the year with the big stock market rally, about to 315. Cratered in June, was down around $180. So if you bought it then at $180,
should have bought like a whole bunch of options. It was at 180, huh?
Yeah. Well, let's see if speaking of buying an option, let's see if the 8-ball needed to buy an option or if it got this one right.
I actually predicted they'd be bankrupt in 2020. So you want to go next year. So let's see what the 8-ball says.
I'm not predicting it. I'm asking whether or not the 8-ball
I'm predicting.
I'm
predicting. Okay. Here we go. Signs point to yes.
Ooh.
Well, there we go. 8-ball.
Well, I guess the 8-ball got that one wrong.
8-ball got it wrong, but let's not talk specifically about Tesla. Let's talk about individual stocks and volatility, because it seems though, OG, I mean, is it surprising? Because with a stock that has had, first of all, you're buying one stock and not buying an index. Number two is this is a company that's largely built on speculation. So if you hear your buddy at work talk about this stock that's supposedly going to hit it, you should expect that something like this would happen. It's either going to bankrupt or go double.
And such is the life, I think, with any individual stock purchase. You could say the same thing for GM. I mean, there was years ago when there was a good chance that was going to happen. Or, that's why I think it's funny when people look at individual stocks or whatever, and they say, "Oh, but I'll never trade it. I'll hold it forever." This is an investment that you can keep forever. It's like, how much has I don't know the data on it, but how much has like the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones turned over your lifetime? There are no companies that are forever. I mean, even what's his name from Amazon has said that he fully expects Amazon to not be a thing in 20 years. Yeah. He's like, it's great now. We've got a good company now, but someone's going to come and beat us at our own game and do something different in a couple of decades. So,
Paula, did you have Tesla in your portfolio?
I do. Yes. I have about what's grown to be about $10,000 in Tesla stock. And I should say, as a disclaimer, I am not a fan of individual stock picking.
But you're digging this one.
Right? Like
unless
I
you're buying Tesla.
Right, exactly. So I have a Robinhood account with I think around somewhere between 20 to 25,000 in it. And that's just my little fun fund of individual stock picking. And Tesla has grown to be a big chunk of that. So I got lucky on Tesla, but big disclaimer, I'm not a fan of individual stock picking. Index funds are the way to go. This is just a tiny little fun fund.
But let's talk about this because this is interesting to me. Now it's grown where it's almost half of your Playpen account.
Exactly.
So what are you thinking? Are you thinking sell? Are you thinking hold? What's your thought process on this or any other individual stock?
I'm not totally sure. I have been thinking about that lately. A part of me is inclined to sell half and hold the other half. So I don't know. That's probably the way that I'm leaning right now, but the jury is still out.
Yeah. Len, if you own Tesla instead of gold, what would you be doing right now?
I would not be on this show, and I would be somewhere on. I would probably be on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean.
He would have cashed out Paula's money already. Probably.
Well, actually, it just gets me, Paula. You're supposed to have an exit strategy. When you bought that stock, you should have said, you know what, wherever you bought it at, would you say you bought it at? I don't know what you bought it at, but
I bought it at like around 200 or so.
Yeah, okay. So you just said, hey, when this thing gets to 300, I'm selling half of it, and I'm putting, that's what I'd have done. So yes, I would have been on a beach somewhere, Joe. But let me just say this: that was a great point OG made about, or I guess actually it was Jeff Bezos made it about his own company. About he doesn't know if it's going to be around in 20 years. I mean, do you remember GE? It was like 20 years ago. GE was the biggest company on the planet. Right. And nobody, I could not fathom that it would be where it's at now. It's fallen quite a ways, and I don't think it's going to be anywhere in another 5 years. Same with Sears Roebuck, going even further back. I mean, there was a time when Sears Roebuck was the company, and now it's a dinosaur. It's not even, it's out of business, isn't it? Or it might be a few stores around. But yeah, so people shaking their heads at Amazon thinking, well, Amazon's, no way, Amazon will always be here. I guarantee you it will not.
Airlines. Yeah, any of those companies.
But you've heard that from
they're just a leadership or two away from not keeping up with the times, and all of a sudden off you go.
I mean, I know when you're young, it's so hard to think that, this won't be here, but it just, over the goodness of time, trust me, all this stuff goes away.
Well, let's take a look at a different part of the stock market. I asked a question about emerging markets. This is from Soham. Says, will the Russian stock market, ticker ERUS, outperform the Saudi Arabian market, KSA, in 2019?
Holy smokes.
I thought that was a pretty funny one. Everybody was reacting to that because last year there was a bunch of political stuff going on. So a little bit of political pot stirring by people in the basement there. But emerging markets.
Good thing there's no political stuff going on anymore.
There's nothing. That is luckily all gone. Product of the last decade. Yes. We're on to new, better times. All happiness.
New and better things.
All the time. Yes.
No politics.
Zero.
No discord at all.
No.
Anywhere.
Let's see what the 8-ball said. By the way, before we get to that, here's what happened. The Russian stock market did very, very, very well. And the Saudi Arabian stock market barely made a gain. But
did Russia do better than Tesla?
I don't think it did, actually. I think Russia, off the top of my head, somewhere in the 28, 29%. I should have that. It'd be amazing if I pulled that up.
They should have had Paula picking stocks for them.
Trust me. The chance good result is no indicator of talent.
Let's see if the 8-ball thought that Russia was going to outperform. Will Russia outperform Saudi Arabia?
I love the confidence here. Without a doubt.
Oh, you could have banked on that one because it happened. Wrong about Tesla, but right about emerging markets. But here's the thing. So, Paula, you were talking earlier about not liking individual stocks, partly because of this volatility reason, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. But is it the same thing if you're calling your shot with emerging markets? If you say, hey, Saudi Arabia versus Russia or Thailand or whatever emerging market you like?
I mean, I think emerging markets as an asset class, like the entire asset class of emerging markets, it makes sense to put a portion of your portfolio there if your risk tolerance and timeline are okay with that. But when we get down to picking specific countries, I mean, the more specific your bet, the greater the chance that you might not get it right. So I think picking specific countries is probably a better practice than drilling down into specific companies. But I would encourage people to instead buy the index asset class of emerging markets or frontier markets or total international, whichever one of those or whichever combination of those fits their portfolio best.
Len, do you search the world for the country with the biggest natural resource supply?
No, you know what? I don't get that diversified. I don't go into other countries, or I don't dabble in emerging markets. I know, for example, Peter Schiff's a big advocate of emerging markets and that's what I was, foreign markets, but I don't touch that stuff.
Just based on your general view of the world, I thought you'd be an emerging markets kind of guy too, but not.
I know. I'm just not comfortable. You know what? I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world enough to be confident. So I just rather not play there.
It's interesting. I like the fact that you want to be educated before you call me crazy, getting educated on my investments. OG, what percentage of emerging markets do you see should probably be in somebody's portfolio? Or does that all depend on risk tolerance?
Well, I think that the overall percentage of stocks versus not stocks is based on risk tolerance. As far as the allocation of how much to emerging markets, I think this is where you get into making bets. If you do anything other than weight your portfolio based on what's really going on in terms of production across the world, then you're effectively market timing. So if you say, I'm going to exclude China, or I'm going to double, more likely people say, well, I'm going to double up on China. Well, then you're suggesting, hey, I've got some information that suggests that I might make a better decision than, quote unquote, the broad market. And for the vast majority of people, that's probably, not true. So I would say that the weighting toward any position for that matter should be equal to its relative output. Of course, for most U.S. investors, for most investors anyway, across the world, you have quite a substantial amount of home bias.
Yeah.
No offense, Len. You just kind of said that you do.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. They look at any country. You ask Germans how they invest, and most of their investments are in Germany. You ask Norwegians how they invest, most of their investments are in Norway, companies centered there. So it's not uncommon. But I think that anytime you take a bet at that level, you're effectively saying, well, I have some information, or I think I have some information that leads me to be able to make better decisions. So your amount of Canadian stock should be equal to the amount of output that Canada companies have in the world, which incidentally is equal to China. Most people don't know that.
Give me that stat again. What told you to say? I'm queuing up the next question.
I just said that the output of Canada is similar to the output of China. But most people would say, oh, well, I should have more of my money in China because China's a bigger economy or whatever it is. Yeah. But it's not entirely true.
Right. Okay, there. The Canadians doing very well.
Yeah.
Don't you know? Let's, once again, bad Canadian accents for the loss. So we talked about Tesla, kind of like playing the lottery a little bit. And then we talked about emerging markets, maybe again playing the lottery. So Len just goes right to the juggler here.
It was this 2018 had a $1 billion lottery jackpot, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't that this year? Wasn't there a $1 billion?
Might have been two of them.
Was there two? Okay, my question is going to be this year or in 2019, will there be another $1 billion jackpot?
Oh, there's a good one.
In 2019. Winner. Obviously, I guess there'll have to be a winner eventually. So $1 billion winner.
And will I win?
And that's it. No, you have to ask that question on your own.
Well, what we know is that OG didn't win, but not only did you not win, OG, nobody. Was this basically a case of if OG can't win, nobody can win?
Isn't that how all life is?
that probably
ain't nobody winning.
That probably is it. Len, nobody did win.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked.
Yeah.
I really am. I didn't, I thought that after the first $2 billion winners that would just, people would really be jumping in. But, I guess it didn't happen. Either that, or I guess the Powerballs hit sooner than
Often
the $1 billion.
enough. Yeah. Well, let's see if the 8-ball got it right that there wasn't a winner.
As I see it, yes.
So the 8-ball now 2-2, 500 mark. Not that wonderful. Good news is you're only down $100 there, Mr. Penzo.
I said my wallet is not so bruised at this point.
No, it isn't. Let's talk a little bit for just a second about the lottery. Do any of you guys actually play the lottery?
No, I don't, but my parents did when I was a kid. So as a kid, every single week they bought a lottery ticket, and I grew up completely normalized to that behavior. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I learned that a lottery is, essentially a tax for people who are bad at probability.
What do you remember where you got that data?
I don't remember specifically. I think generally as I started reading and learning more about personal finance, I encountered the notion that most millionaires, most rich people don't play the lottery. And of course, that led to the question of why, and, then led to seeing what the odds of winning the lottery are, and then asking yourself, is it worth the time and money investment?
Oh, gee, what's the name of that great restaurant in Chicago that you and I have talked about before? The one, they also own the Aviator.
Alinea.
Yeah, Alinea. Grant Atchison's partner, Grant, is the chef at Alinea. His partner was on the Tim Ferriss show. I don't have the name in front of me, but I'll have the link in our show notes. This was a fantastic interview. And Paula, to your point, he talked about this. He said that Vegas is for people who don't know probabilities in math. And even when I was listening to that, I thought everybody hears Vegas is like a 49.5% chance of winning, right? I mean, it is very close to 50-50 when you go to Vegas that you'll win, which means that millionaires and multimillionaires look at 50-50 as bad odds. And like you growing up, I would think most people think that having a business is 50-50, becoming a millionaire is 50-50. Like we kind of think of our life as 50-50.
People might emotionally feel that way, but if you start your own business, there are things that you can actively do to improve your odds of success.
Yeah.
Whereas when you are pulling the lever at a slot machine, there's nothing you can do. You are in a game that has a predetermined payout schedule that has a negative expected value for the player. Yeah.
I think about, Len, the way like professional poker players play poker. When I first was exposed to poker, I thought, hey, I got a pretty good hand. I got a decent hand. I got an okay hand. Little did I know when I started studying professional poker players, it's all math. Like the whole thing is a math equation, and differentiating between making a good decision to go all in on a hand versus the outcome of that hand, where sometimes you lose, even though you make great decisions, is very difficult for most people.
Yeah. Well, let's say, poker is a skill. And the only way casinos make money on poker, by the way, is they skim money out of the pot.
Out of all the hands, yeah.
So the best poker players understand the probabilities and the odds and the risks, and they act on those. So way different than putting $100 on red on the roulette table or what have you. So, but
I got to ask you, when it went to $1 billion over a year ago, did you play that day?
No, I didn't actually. And usually I do. When it gets over, when it gets really high, I play it because, what the hey? Yeah. What the hey? Now, what always gets me is the people that'll buy 100 tickets versus one ticket. You do the odds. The extra 99 tickets don't really appreciably increase your chances of winning. So think about that, folks. One ticket or 100 ticket, it's almost the same odds.
Waste $1 to dream instead of wasting $10 or $100.
Still, the odds are still almost nothing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, crazy.
I will say real quick. I just got, my work, there was a group of my work that actually did win the California lottery when it first started back, 25 years ago now. And there's about 20 or 30 of them. And they all split the money, and they received, I think they were receiving like $10,000 or $11,000 a year for 20 years.
Wow.
This is before you could do a lump sum.
What did they all sign the ticket together? Is that the way that works? Or they set up a company? And
I don't know. I just know, and there was no arguments. It was all cool. I know they got a lawyer to work out the pay, make sure nobody was going to cheat anybody after the fact. But yeah, they just it was enough for a good vacation, I guess, is what one of my buddies who was in that group said. For 20 years.
Hey, that's a free vacation a year for 20 years.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
At the end of round 1, we've got 8 ball, 2 right and 2 incorrect. Let's go to our second round of questions. Paula kicked it off with this one. Paula, let's march into round 2. What's your second question?
Well, speaking of marching, so Meghan Markle's due date is allegedly end of March, beginning of April. So my question to the Magic 8 Ball is, will the baby be born after, and I just need to pick a date since it has to be a yes or no question, will the baby be born after March 22nd?
Am I shaking this right, OG? Can you see?
This is the first year, by the way, Paula's done 2 royal family questions.
I would have asked all 3, except I have to honor the time-honored tradition of at least one related to South America.
All right, so before we get the answer, Paula, born before or after March 22nd?
Oh, dear. Born after March 22nd.
Well after.
Yes.
March 22nd.
Was it May? Was it May?
It was May. Yes. Thanks for making us look it up, Len. We're trying to get this show done. Come on. Get out of here at a reasonable hour. Let's see what the 8 Ball thought.
As I see it, yes.
So they're having a boy and he's going to be born after March 22nd, according to the Magic 8 Ball.
8 Ball for now is a genius in round 2. It had its warm-up 50-50 in the first round. Just nailed it. This is interesting to me. The piece of this question, Paul, that's interesting to me is this. When people have a baby, you've got 9 months where maybe 7 months, maybe 8 months, but you've got a period of time where that's happening. Like you've got this adjustment period. Something I really like telling people to do is to live as if the baby's already here. So Len and OG were talking about the pain earlier, like live as if it's already here, or
get up 3 times a night. Just just buy $20 packs of diapers at random times throughout the day.
Right.
Yes, do all that.
That's what Paula, do you do that? Do you go to the store and buy 3 packs of random diapers just for no reason? Just in case
Amazon.
Just in case someday. Yes. But this idea,
that's what Amazon is for.
But have you ever done that in your life where you knew there was an expense coming up, Paula, so you started saving the extra money, living as if it were already there?
I mean, I would say, well, I think an HSA is a pretty good example of that. Like, that one day you're going to have some health expenses.
Yeah.
And so as you contribute money to an HSA, you're essentially prepaying for the giant medical bill that's going to come up at some point in the future, even though you don't know what it will be or when it will be.
I know you like this, OG, when people are asking you if they can afford a bigger house. Weren't you the one that told me that you have people then save the extra money, the bigger mortgage and stuff into a savings account?
I was going to say that you told me that, but since
I probably did
think that I'm the one that came up with that, I'll take it. But no, you should. I mean, just like with anything, I think once you get past a certain amount of living expenses, once your income provides enough flexibility that you're choosing to go out to eat or whatever, and you have some flexibility, life just expands into whatever you have the money for. It's just like if you automatically save an extra 1% every 6 months in your 401k, you're not going to notice the 1%. You'll notice it if you're on a lower income side. If you're making $20,000 or $30,000 a year, that 1% number or 2% or whatever, that's going to be a little bit more noticeable, of course. But once you're kind of past that 70 or 80,000 is what people say is that threshold of like where that kind of happiness number ends, when you're not worried about putting food on the table type stuff. Then, if you want to start saving $200 a month, you just have to save $200 a month. The rest of your life will fold in around that. If you want to buy a bigger house, then make it work right now because it's going to have to work in the future.
Well, and I think
just life expands into it.
I do. I totally like this idea of play testing it ahead of time, because if you save that extra money into a savings account, that money's just available for later,
Yeah.
There's no downside. OG lives in Texas, so of course he had to ask this question.
I'm going to stay in the money theme for just a little bit. Gas prices right now, pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oil right now is about $48, $49 a barrel. You can get gas for $2, give or take, a gallon. Our gas price is going to be lower this time next year than they are today.
We should just go with the price of
national
oil.
Average. You got to go national average.
National average. You probably got to go December 1st.
A barrel of oil.
Oh, barrel of oil.
A boil, as I like to call it. Just shorten things up. Is a barrel of oil going to be less expensive on December 1st than today?
Okay.
And the answer there, of course, is no. Gas prices higher across the country this year than they were last year. So let's see what the 8-ball said.
2 hands on the 8-ball this time.
Oh, see, there it is.
You may rely on it.
The 8-ball was getting pretty optimistic there. A little heady. Maybe you weren't the only one, OG, that had too much PBR. Maybe like the happy drunk 8-ball.
Did you see that they made like a straight, like a 99 can thing of PBR?
No. Just
in a row. Like that's it, like you carried it out like a 2x4.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Like some promotional stunt?
Yeah, it was just like, hey, your in-laws are coming. Get one of these.
you need 99 cans of PBR. I got to stock up because who knows when this vacation's going to end, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about gas prices, Len. You talk about this stuff that people do where they'll drive across town to save 3 cents on gas, right? That's a lenpenzo.com kind of blog post.
That's now you're in my territory there. Thanks, Joe. Yes, now we're talking about something I understand. That's right.
The stupid stuff.
It always gets me the people that'll wait in line at a Sam's Club or a Costco to save 10 cents a gallon, and they're idling their cars for 30 minutes, right, to save $3. So they've burnt a half gallon of gas, waiting for 30 minutes to save $3.
Where's that crossover point for you? Is there a crossover point for you where you're like, okay, this is worth it?
You know what I would say is value your time. What do you value your time at, right? I mean, what is your personal time? What are you worth an hour? Are you worth $20 an hour? Are you worth $50 an hour? Are you worth $75 an hour? What do you value your time at? And based on that, let's just say you value your time at $100 an hour. My goodness, if you're going to sit there for 20 minutes, you've spent 1/3 of $100. You spent $33 waiting in line, right? Is it worth to save $3? If your time's worth $100 an hour? That's how I do it.
Paula, you don't generally sales shop for that reason, isn't that right?
Nope, not at all. I go for efficiency. Buy the thing, move on with your life.
But is there a point where you see a sale and you go, okay, I'm going to need that in the next 6 months and pretty damn good deal, so I'm going to pull the trigger today?
Yeah, certainly. If I stumble across something that is on sale and I know that I'll need it, like if, toilet paper is on, like if Costco has a sale on Charmin toilet paper, right? I'll go ahead and buy an extra bag of that and then just keep it around the house because cool, now I'm supplied for a year. And that actually not only saves money, but it saves time because that's one less thing that I have to replenish or buy again. So assuming that I have the space for it, sure, yeah, I'll stock up on stuff when it's on sale, but I don't actively go looking for those sales.
Do you buy it from Mr. Whipple?
From who? What?
I knew it.
We got her again. Paula, don't squeeze the Charmin. She has no idea what the hell we're talking about.
I'm about to Google this.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Paula, you don't know what you're missing.
I have no idea.
Go to YouTube.
Oh, Paula, this is from 1970.
Herman, the funny-looking one with the mustache.
Hey, Whipple. You've been giving the missus a tough time for squeezing Charmin bathroom tissue.
But we don't squeeze new Charmin in the store.
Yeah.
See, there's a sign.
A sign? Honey, there's a sign.
But, Herman, we can't resist. Charmin's so deep down, squeezably soft.
And the soft fragrance is irresistible. Irresistible price, too.
Honey, the sign.
Everyone squeezes new Charmin. Here.
But that doesn't stop him from mansplaining to his wife over and over again that there's a sign. There is a sign. But, honey, it's irresistible. Don't squeeze the Charmin, Paula.
All right. Duly noted.
Somebody sees Paula at Costco squeezing pallets of Charmin. Because it's irresistible.
They're like, well, you were warned.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. And mine came from a friend of ours in the Basement Facebook group. Mine is going to come from Kimberly in the Basement Facebook group. Will the price of Bitcoin be lower on December 1st than it is today? Boy, we know what happened there. The price of Bitcoin went through the roof in the last year. But if you had money in Bitcoin, you did very, very well the last year. So let's see how that turned out with the 8-ball, though. January 4th. Will the price of Bitcoin be lower?
Ooh, okay. Let's find out. Gosh, it's starting to foam up.
That's when you know, by the way, that the 8-ball's getting drunk. Oh, gee. Len's 8-ball and Len have had enough when it's starting to foam up. Just saying. Here we go. Back to it.
It is decidedly so.
Oh, boy.
It is decidedly so.
Yep. In round 2 here, the 8-ball, 1 right, 2 wrong. So that puts it at 3 right, 4 wrong so far. But let's talk about Bitcoin here for a little bit. You believe in this a little more this year after the price went up so much in the last 12 months?
Do I believe in it?
Yes.
No, I do not believe in it. As a matter of fact, my advice has always been, much to people who might want to speculate, against it. I mean, it made 94% this year.
Sure.
But here's my problem with cryptocurrencies.
Didn't make anything. That's the problem.
It isn't.
The value associated with it increased by some speculative amount.
That's correct. It is not tangible. And I always give this thought exercise to my readers on even Bitcoin. Most people say, if they're not speculating, they say it's a great alternative to gold. And my question to them, and I have yet to get an answer, is if the dollar, the purchasing power of the dollar went to zero tomorrow, what would a Bitcoin be worth? And the answer, obviously, if you do the math, it's infinity, right? Infinity dollars. A Bitcoin is worth infinity dollars. Well, that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. You can't go into a bar and say, here's my Bitcoin worth infinity dollars. And that's just proof positive that it's not a rock solid store of value. As opposed to, people say, well, why is it different from gold and silver? Gold and silver are physical objects. They're on the elemental table, and you can value them in terms of weight. So you can always value something in grams of, like, for example, a loaf of bread is always 1/10 of a gram of gold, right? Regardless of what the value of a dollar is. So that's the big difference between cryptocurrencies and precious metals.
Paula, you think similarly that you value your investments in weight?
I pay for all of my bread with gold. Go to the checkout line, hand them an earring, and we're done.
There it is. And there's just like a little wink and a nod. You're good.
Yeah, exactly. The cashier knows exactly how much that earring weighs, and it's a smooth transaction.
Do you have more faith, though, in cryptos than you did a year ago?
No, I don't. I do think that cryptocurrencies will be used in our society, but I agree they do not have intrinsic value, and then putting money into them is speculation, not investing. But
I see this. So I saw this with solar, OG. With solar, you saw that the price of individuals doing solar has stayed very high, right? And even though there now is a unified approach to solar, there used to be lots of different ways to do solar. Now there's a unified approach. You would think prices would come down enough where it would start to make sense. While utility companies continually told you with their lobby that it didn't make sense, utility companies buying up solar as fast as they can. And now you look at the solar power of a utility. We see this with cryptos. While you'll see a company like JP Morgan kind of outwardly laughing about cryptos, my understanding, JP Morgan, one of the biggest players in the cryptocurrency markets. What's going on there?
One hand doesn't know what the other is doing. They're all foolish. No, I think the difference is this. Can we use the technology that exists for that business right now, which is the technology of like blockchain and that sort of thing, to improve payment processing and record keeping? Absolutely. Is Bitcoin worth something, or Ripple, or whatever the other one? No, it's just a construct right now, and it's going to crash in spectacular fashion.
You nailed it, OG. It's the technology. It's the blockchain. That's the power behind. That is the real power right there.
Yeah, when you can do like a house closing in a nanosecond, right? And it just shows
Correct.
The transaction. I was reading, that they're using a lot of this technology for countries that don't have like property records. They're like just starting it. They're going, well, how do we know that your family owns this land? Well, we don't. But now we're going to say that you do, and now it's locked in stone. And they're building that kind of record keeping, and that's super helpful. Or how do you, they've kind of got it right now. It's always amazing to me that I can Venmo you $50 and it'll be in your account tomorrow. But if I want to send a payment to my American Express bill, I got to do it 24 hours in advance, and it will post sometime in the next 24 to 72 hours when the bank gets around to transferring it, or, you know what I mean? It's like really stupid. Like, why can't it just happen? So that sort of stuff will be a byproduct of the technology, which will be super helpful. But the idea of the Bitcoin or whatever is just...
So in summary, the way to summarize that perfectly, I think, is just say, instead of investing in a crypto, invest in companies that have found unique and innovative ways to use the blockchain technology. Yeah. That's where you have, if you're going to make an investment, that's probably where you should be looking.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense.
Let's see if the 8 ball is going to start making more sense with Len's next question. Len, what's your second one?
Deutsche Bank. The stock has been just taking a hammering the past year. And I think now it's low. It's in single digits. Will Deutsche Bank stock be less than $7.50 on December 1st?
And where's it at right now?
I don't know. I think it's like 8. I don't know. Check it. Or you know what? It went up a couple days ago. It might be double digits again.
Len, we heard the drum roll there, but because I didn't stop it quick enough. So we're about to find out what the 8 ball did. But let's talk about what Deutsche Bank did. Deutsche Bank, just at the end of the year, trading around 770, and it actually was marginally higher than that last year. So your question was, will it be less than 750? The answer is barely no. So Deutsche Bank, I don't know that would you call that a banner year this year, that it managed to not lose money?
Yeah, I would say, but didn't they? I think they played some shenanigans. Didn't they create a bad bank and they offloaded the bad assets to the bad bank? I thought that's what they did.
Well, that's what I'd do.
Isn't that great? Wouldn't that be great if we could do that? Like if we're having trouble and we just create a bad, hey, sorry, I'm creating a bad version of me. I'm going to offload all my bad investments into that.
I'm reading this biography on Cornelius Vanderbilt, and there's a railroad that he was getting ready to buy, and it just had tons of debt. So what they did, and this is before a lot of the insider trading rules and Securities and Exchange Commission being stronger, they decided to create new bonds instead of the old bonds. And actually, you can still do this. If you convince the people that loan you money to take the new bond at half, you can stay solvent as a company, right? Restructure your debt, they call it, whenever you hear about companies restructuring their debt. So they were selling new bonds, and the new bonds then would be at half the interest rate of the old bonds so they could keep the railroad running. Not only did Vanderbilt help convince people to buy these bonds, he also then sold the new bonds to speculators at a quarter of the price. Speculators, by the way, including him, their competitor, like all these people. And immediately on day one, it went from a quarter of the value of the bonds to half the price of the bonds. An instant doubling of your money for him and his friends. So
yeah, and Joe, you just answered the question. People will say, well, how do these countries sell bonds with negative interest rates? And that is how they do it. As long as the rates go lower and lower, the yields, you can find it's the greater fool theory, sell it to somebody else, and you're still going to make money, even though the bond is yielding negative numbers.
And not only did they do that, but they sold the bonds to themselves and doubled their money on day one on the new bonds. And they restructured their debt. Like, wouldn't it be great to have a bankruptcy where you unload all your debt for debt at half the rate and you double whatever assets you have? Instead of having to wipe the table with them, you double your assets on the same day. I'd line up for that. It'd be fantastic. So Deutsche Bank did not. The answer is going to be no. Deutsche Bank did not fall below 750 this year. So let's see what the 8 ball said.
Outlook good. Sorry, guys. This is
yes.
You just put all the yes ones in there.
The drunk 8 ball having a tough time with round 2, 1 right, 3 wrong, and now we're looking at 3 right, 5 incorrect. Deutsche Bank, I guess, guys, going back to the discussion we had earlier, this is a bank, Len, it's been around for a long time. This is what you were talking about with General Electric or with, some of these big Procter & Gamble, some of these big companies been around a long time. Things change.
Yeah, nobody is too big to fail. Time has shown that no company is too big to fail.
So on that note, let's go to the third round and hope that the 8-ball gets its mojo back. We start again with Paula. Let's see what she asked for her third question.
Every year, traditionally, I always ask a question about a South American ETF. But this year, I'm going to skip the ETF and just ask a question about South America. As we all know, there will be a total solar eclipse in Chile at the end of June. Will there be cloud cover that blocks the view of the eclipse from the majority of people in Chile?
Debbie Downer.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to look this shit up later. How am I gonna look that up at the end of next year?
Verify that.
It'll be on the news.
As context is context. So I was thinking about going to either Chile or Argentina to watch the total solar eclipse. And then I started looking up the location where there will be totality. And I started looking at historic cloud cover on that day. And the areas where totality will be visible have 70% of a chance of cloud cover historically on that day.
Just come to Dallas in 2 years when we have one.
I'll just be eclipse chasing from now on.
That's what most of us do when we're looking at going on vacation. We look at the percent chance of cloud cover for that area. And then we do the math, look at XYZ, and decide if we're going or not. You didn't end up going to Chile
Correct.
or Argentina.
I did not end up going to Chile. And as it turns out, that was a mistake because totality was visible.
And the reason we know that is because, shout out to our new producer, Karen, who looked that shit up for you, Paula.
Thank you, Karen.
and she actually went and looked at YouTube videos, and it turned out that you could see during that time. So,
and then she was like, "You guys would not believe this job that I have. Yeah. You know what they're having me do?
I get all the good stuff."
I went to Chile's about 6 times last year.
Oh yeah,
had the awesome blossom.
Fantastic. Baby back ribs. Fantastic. All right. So the answer is no, right? How do we phrase that question? We phrased it, will there be cloud cover? And the answer is no. And based on how drunk and happy your 8-ball is, Len, I don't think this bodes well for us. Here we go.
Well, this says outlook not so good.
Hey-o! I think what that means, Len, is that the 8-ball was 3 for 3 on Paula's questions. Next year, we should probably have Paula ask all the questions.
I think the 8-ball did a pun there. It was you're talking about cloud cover, and it said the outlook was not so good.
And it is too bad, by the way, because this seems to be a happy 8-ball, a punny 8-ball.
Don't beat it. Don't beat that 8-ball has been retired. Well, he lost his job after this. We brought in the new kid.
I actually wasn't beating it up. I was just saying that the 8-ball was all happy, and then we went and fired him after this. That episode.
Well,
you can't be drunk on the job, 8-ball, and showing favoritism toward Paula. Not good either.
No.
All right, so we've got just 3 more questions left. And on the note of asking personal questions, OG now has one.
This one totally pains me. I'm a college football junkie, and it would be very easy to say, is Alabama going to win the championship again? Is Oklahoma? But I have something much more near and dear to my heart, which is, given the fact that Urban Meyer finally retired, will Michigan finally beat Ohio State in a football game in November?
He's like, please, God.
This year.
Please. Will Jim Harbaugh, actually.
I don't even need Jim Harbaugh to beat him. I don't care who.
And, OG, that didn't happen.
No, it was ugly. But the next best thing happened, which was
you had a great.
As we found out,
you had a great first half of the bowl game for Michigan. That was the next best.
Not
thing.
Even that. Don't even care about that. The next best thing is that Ohio State lost.
Oh man!
In the championship, playoff. So
has it really come down to this now? It's like it's not enough for Michigan to win. It's just now it's all if only Ohio State loses. Is that what it's come down to?
Send your hate mail.
You know, I root for 2 teams every weekend. Oh boy, Michigan and whoever Ohio State's playing.
Even if it's a team from a different conference.
Akron. Oh God, yes. Especially if it's a team from a different conference.
I would.
Like, come on, Akron Zips. You got it, baby.
Well, Michigan had a decent year. I wouldn't want to be, you know, my daughter went to Arkansas. We could have asked the 8-ball, will Arkansas win another football game ever?
Ooh, Arkansas still play football in the year 2019? Or will they just to hell with it?
Fold it up. Yes. So the 8-ball, though, said the answer was no. The 8-ball said,
cannot predict now.
All right.
So try
as if this thing needs more foam. Here we go. More shaking. And
Len's getting a workout. Len, you got to take the Skillshare class on shaking that. Yeah.
I hate to say this, but it says better not tell you now. OG.
Doesn't sound too positive.
You may rely on it.
Oh boy. So now the 8-ball down by 2 with only 2 questions to go. The pressure's on here, Len.
It certainly is. Well, I guess it's how you look at it. Is the pressure on my wallet or is it on the 8-ball?
So far, it's not on your wallet. Here we go. Let's take one from Len.
You know, I still have my Dow 20,000 hat. Will the Dow be under 20,000 on December 1st?
Wow.
Ooh, good Lord. For all our sakes, I hope not.
The 8-ball is going to say yes, though. You know it's going to say, oh, yeah, sure. So the 8-ball predicting whether the Dow's going to be under 20,000. Len, not even close.
Oh, that's not even in the, that wasn't even in the ballpark. Yeah, that's we're much closer to 30. Aren't we over 30? Where are we? Very close.
Was it like 28,000 something?
Okay. Yeah, we're not even in the ballpark. Yeah. And I'm really anxious to see what the darn 8-ball said on this one.
Was this the kind of year, OG, that if your 401k was negative, you might be doing it wrong?
If your 401k was negative, yes, you definitely did it wrong.
It seems to me that this is a year where everybody was a genius.
We're starting our reviews, coming up here in another couple of weeks. And I'm waiting for, hopefully this doesn't happen. Hey, I saw the S&P is up like 28. My account's only up like 23. Like, what's up?
Because you diversified.
Because
they're all, you know what they all were. I mean, the Dow was up 22. The Russell was up, 2000 was up 24%. The NASDAQ was up 35%. Bitcoin was up 94%.
The international index.
And even gold and silver were up this year.
Yeah, international index.
Fixed income was up like 10 or 11.
Yeah, everything. I think, yeah.
I don't know, Paula, weigh in on this. To me, this is a scary time for investors. At the end of 2019, I think everybody would probably be a little cocky at this point.
Well, it's true that in a bull market, everybody thinks they're a genius, but it's also true that bull markets do not die of old age. And if the fundamentals are solid, then there's no reason for a bull to go into a cyclical recession simply because it's a decade old. That's the second time I've heard somebody say that today. That were you watching Yahoo Finance video earlier like I was? I was not. You were not. But that is a common expression. Yes. But I got to say, I don't know that I'd ever heard that specific thing until today. Have you guys all heard that? Is this like Paula with the Charmin thing?
You mean don't mistake a bull market for genius for a bull market?
No, the bull markets don't die of old age, meaning this could go on forever.
I've never heard that one.
I hadn't either.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, this is the longest one ever.
Twice today.
But except I think that's BS. This is just a sensational thing that people like to talk about so that people get concerned about it. The market was down 20% a year ago at this time. 19.9. Oh, closing value. It crossed minus 20 during the day. So that's a bear market. Like it happened already. So that, it also happened in 2012, right? Also a 19.9 time. So people like to just gloss over those and go, well, closing basis was 19.9. So it doesn't count officially. It counted, And so if you put that in there, then you recognize it really hasn't been 10 years. It's just a topic that it's like, if I put that out there, if I say, hey, this is the longest running, then people, get concerned and like, no, it's been freaking 12 months.
Yeah, but the bigger point that makes, that Paula made and that I heard earlier, the bigger point that makes, though, OG, I think you agree with, which is don't bet. Don't play that game. Just because it's, quote, been long or hasn't been long or whatever isn't a reason to change your investment strategy.
Well, and the thing is just like we were talking about casino gambling before or playing the lottery, if you're going to play the odds suggest that 70% of the time it goes up. So yeah, you're going to be wrong 30% of the time, but to get all of the other ups, you have to be okay with the occasional down. And maybe today was the highest it's going to be for the next 18 months. Who knows? We'll know in 18 months from now. But your investment plan, I think, which is what Paul is getting at here, your investment plan cannot be about like some arbitrary time period. Like, well, because it's January the 3rd and the full moon isn't until the 7th, that means that ... No, it's just do your investment plan and let the chips fall where they will.
The 8-ball needs one more answer to be correct to end this on
an even note.
On an even note. Can the 8-ball get there?
God, I hope so.
Let's see here on our last question. Hans asks, will the 8-ball in 2019 be right more often than it's wrong?
So you're making
meta
it's like a circular
loop. This is
so such a great question. Now the answer is going to be no, right? Because it's either going to be even or down 2. But what a great question to end on. And let's see.
Could this question be the tiebreaker between the 8-ball being right and wrong?
Oh, yeah, maybe it will. I can't wait.
Oh boy.
12 months. We have to wait for that one, Paula, to see.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Will it be right more than wrong?
Cannot predict now. I'm going to throw my wrist out doing this. Don't count on it.
It defended its honor, Len, by by saying there's no way in hell gonna make that.
Well,
happen.
hey, at least it's honest, right? It tried. Like you said, 50-50. It's the same as a coin flip.
Fun year for the 8-ball. A lot of great takeaways from last year. We're going to take a quick break with the roundtable here to talk to Ryan Falvey about the future of FinTech. Maybe we'll answer a question. We have a guest here that's going to help us answer a Magnify Money question. And we'll be back with our predictions for 2020 here after those segments. Well, if you're new to the show, this is a segment that we feature nearly every Friday. It's called our Friday FinTech segment. And the reason why I love this Friday segment is because, A, I love new technology. I love toys. I also like the fact that there are people out there and brands out there that are pushing the traditional methods of doing things, and where sometimes we don't see the innovation that I'd like to see from big insurance companies or from big banks or big brokerage houses. There's somebody who has a new idea, and I like learning about it. So I thought, hey, let's make a Friday segment in the middle of our shows that will talk about it. So we've been doing the Friday FinTech segment nearly since the beginning of Stacking Benjamins. Today, a real treat. Ryan Falvey is not only one of the founders of Financial Venture Studio, but he also is somebody who has deep, deep roots, 15 years that he has spent identifying, supporting, and leading innovation in technology. If anybody has a front row seat to what's going on in the world of FinTech, it would be Ryan. Not only is he always good radio and a guy that I just absolutely love talking to, he also, of course, has his viewpoint because he helps many of the firms that you're going to see tomorrow on your phone. Heck, some of the firms that you see today on your phone, some of the apps that you use. Ryan and the team at Financial Venture Studio are behind those companies. So let's say a big hello to Ryan Falvey coming back down to the basement to talk about the future of FinTech here at the start of 2020. And coming down the stairs for a repeat trip to the basement, working on the frequent flyer miles, it's our friend Ryan Falvey from Financial Venture Studio. How are you, man?
Good. How are you, Joe?
Oh, good.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I thought, listen, you'd be the perfect guest. It's January 3rd. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
And last year seemed to be a pretty, I don't want to say a great year. It felt like a year of change in the FinTech world. Would you say that's true? Like entering 2019, leaving 2019, there were kind of two different spaces?
Totally. I suspect it probably didn't feel as much like change for guys like, you and I and your listeners who are kind of, plugged into this space. But I think for a lot of people, as some of these companies got to be really valuable and started kind of getting some headlines made about them, I think a lot of people started waking up and realizing that there's a real sea change happening in financial services, and FinTech seems to be leading that. And so I noticed more people asking me about it and kind of knowing what I do with less explanation than it took a couple of years ago. And so, I definitely think there's been kind of that broader awakening that there's some really exciting stuff happening in FinTech.
I know that's obviously on a consumer level. I totally agree. More people getting comfortable with using FinTech solutions. On a bank level, I want to even include maybe InsurTech here. On that level. You think next year we're going to see more acquisitions of these companies, these big companies, big banks, big brokerage, big insurance companies going to start to feel the heat a little bit, Ryan?
I think you'll see more acquisitions for sure. I think you're seeing a lot of the larger incumbents becoming much more aware of what's happening and taking it much more seriously. And I think there's different ways that can play out. One would be through acquisitions, but I expect you'll see a lot more innovation from many of the incumbents. The track record's mixed on that, but I mean, it's certainly something you need to think about when you're dealing with really early stage companies. When you have a big company roll out a new feature set, that makes a big difference. So I think you'll see a lot more kind of headline level news happening where either it's really large companies in FinTech acquiring smaller ones, or maybe the more established firms acquiring the FinTech companies, maybe a couple more companies, going public. The end of last year, the Bill.com IPO it looks like it's going to be a successful one. And that's one of those kind of infrastructure businesses that a lot of people don't really pay a lot of attention to. And so when they do well in the public markets, I think that kind of opens up the aperture of people's awareness of what's happening.
Well, that I guess is my next question then is that where we're going to see most FinTech innovation next year? Is it going to be on the building blocks piece that the consumer doesn't see? Our listeners won't see a lot of that, or are you going to see customer-facing stuff in 2020?
I think you'll see a lot of customer-facing stuff still. One of the things, there's been a lot of talk about a lot of this infrastructure and kind of the back-end thing. At the end of the day, that stuff needs to be supporting new products and services. There a lot of investors especially use the analogy of Amazon Web Services, which is, Amazon has this big hosting platform that a lot of websites are built on. Amazon makes a ton of money from this product, but they wouldn't make money if there weren't people building new stuff on the internet that needed hosting. And then I think the same way with these infrastructure players, unless there's new products that are coming to market that are solving kind of new problems for consumers and business and others, I don't think that they're going to be as relevant. So I expect to still continue to see a lot of innovation from the consumer side.
Well, let's take this maybe, if you don't mind, industry by industry. What do you see coming in the banking world? Are banks going to see some major disruption this year?
Banking is interesting. Banks make money two ways. They make money from lending and they make money from fees. I think the lending business seems relatively stable. You don't see a lot of new entrants there. I mean, that was one of the kind of maybe the first phase of FinTech. On the fee side, you're seeing a lot more firms coming in. But did you know in the FinTech space, a lot of these guys are also charging too. And so they're making subscription revenues. We're investors in a company called Pillar, which helps people pay off student loans. And, they charge a monthly fee for that. Digit, which has been around for a while. I know it's familiar to you and your listeners. They obviously charge fees. And so I think the nature of kind of the fees are changing, and increasingly consumers are willing to pay for fees, but they want to see real tangible value. And that might be where you see the big consumer banking shift of, I suspect we'll see kind of more innovations where the banks will say, okay, hey, we can't just charge for checking accounts, but maybe we can charge a couple bucks a month for this service that rides alongside the checking account. That would probably be where I'd expect to see more of the types of things. continue to see growth of some of these businesses. Businesses like Chime and Dave are starting to get kind of escape velocity, where they're just adding lots and lots of users and are kind of becoming well known to the broader market. And as that happens, you get new startups coming into the space, but then you also see the incumbents starting to react to that. And that will probably catalyze some innovation too.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask about next, because it seems to me when you've got some of these ride-along ideas, if I'm Bank of America, let's say, I think, Ryan, I can develop my own, or I can just go buy this thing and plug it in. And a lot of these founders we talk to, as you know, the products feel like they could be plugged into a Bank of America and make Bank of America suck less. That was me. That's not Ryan. Just write your hate mail to me, Bank of America, not to Ryan.
You know what? I'm not so sure about that. I don't think it's totally wrong. What I see is happening is more like it's like a balloon that's filling up with air. And so, you looked at all these point solutions on this, and they all kind of look the same. But as that balloon fills up, now I think they move into different parts of the market. And if you think of how innovation typically works, that's how it starts. It starts pretty small, and that niche continues to expand and expand and expand. And so I'm not a believer in kind of the rebundling. I don't think you're going to see the big banks acquire a bunch of startups and try to add them to their platforms. I actually think you have a much more kind of fundamental thing happening where consumer tastes and expectations from financial services have changed. And they're not really interacting with, things like your core checking account in the same way that they were 20, 30 years ago. And there are a number of solutions there that are kind of out there that are really saying, hey, this is a liquidity account. It's going to go down to zero. It might go a little bit below zero. It might, but it's probably never going to be a significant amount of money. And maybe I can try to create an account that solves that problem, makes the decisions easier for a consumer, kind of makes a product that just you wouldn't even think of it as, as you said, kind of sucking. More of it just kind of works for my needs. And then you might have a totally different solution you use to kind of help you start saving for retirement. And you might have a totally different solution you use to send remittances to your family in another country. And I don't necessarily think all those come back together. I think part of what makes banking frustrating for so many people is that, you do have kind of a one size fits all thing out there. And while that one size might have lots of different variations, it still kind of feels generic and not made just for you. Yeah. And I think that is probably what we'll see more of, really kind of a customized solution. And I think you'll continue to see the banking industry be highly fragmented for long into the future because of that.
It's interesting because it just reminds me then of the early days of the internet, right? I mean, Amazon, a new solution from a new place that people had no idea, came out of nowhere. Sounds like banking, people starting to think about banking different, that maybe they don't think about Bank of America first or Citi or Chase or one of these things. They may think about Chime or about Digit or about some of these, or Pillar or one of these other companies.
Mm-hmm. And to be perfectly honest, some conversations with some of the larger banks, I think the banks are starting to think about themselves differently too. I think if you were to go ask some of these CEOs of these big banks, how do they want to see themselves evolve? I think they would look at what, Jeff Bezos built at Amazon and say, hey, I wouldn't mind being the AWS financial services. But yeah, we've got a retail business here.
Which is, by the way, historically, not to cut you off, but I look at a couple of my friends in the space and they are with some of the smaller aggressive banks and they are doing FinTech startup stuff because they want to be the savings account affiliated with those FinTech startups. Completely to your point. Yeah.
And there's some fundamental parts of the financial services industry that are just unlikely to change. The government is involved here in kind of moderating the risk between all these institutions. And they have requirements for what you have to do from a regulatory and compliance perspective. Banks play a bit of a lot. There's a lot of boring stuff banks do that's pretty central to what they do. And, frankly, the banks are going to probably continue to have an advantage on that boring stuff for a long time. And so I think what you really are seeing, and kind of going to your question about infrastructure earlier, is I think the banks are actually waking up a little bit and saying, hey, you know what? I'm kind of cool with Chime handling all these customers. Yeah. I've never really found a great way to make money with them. But if I can make money serving Chime, that's not a bad business itself. Yeah. And that dynamic certainly starting to take hold.
Yeah. And that can be more exciting for everybody. And the end consumer wins, everybody wins. Let's move to another area that I found more fun in 2019 than really ever before, which was helping small businesses compete with big businesses through better payroll, better HR. We even talked to a gentleman that was allowing, people to get their paycheck whenever they wanted to, not waiting for the old antiquated payroll system of every 2 weeks. Are you seeing as much innovation there as I see from my space, probably way further away than you are? Totally.
We started this business at the end of 2018. And so in 2019, we were using a lot of these solutions ourselves. And it's interesting, you get, I look at across the stack of mail whenever I sit there, and it's forms I have no idea what to do with because, Gusto just takes care of all of it. We're investors in a company called Roger, which is an accounts payable solution. So it helps you kind of automate your.
We actually talked to Catherine.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yes.
She's an amazing founder. And, she's basically bringing a tremendous amount of technology to make a small business function with the degree of professionalism and speed of a much larger firm that would have a bigger accounts payable department. And that kind of stuff, making business more efficient, I see the exact same dynamic there as we saw in consumer over the last couple of years. It's a space that has been notoriously hard for larger firms to serve profitably. It's very fragmented. Individual business owners behave a lot like consumers in how they get their information, how they hear about things, the differentiation of their needs. Most small businesses don't turn into Fortune 500 companies. It's just always been hard. And so they've lacked service. And I think you're seeing a lot of entrepreneurs now saying, hey, there's a better way to do business insurance. There's a better way to do payroll. There's a better way to do employee benefit. I mean, it's almost too many. I mean, you kind of, as an investor, you kind of start to realize how much you don't know about most parts of the economy when you kind of dive into that. You're like, wait, this is something? And, these are some real acute pain points for a lot of small businesses.
It's amazing how much, if a small business pays attention to FinTech, they can really look and seem to their customers equal to a company 20, 50, 100 times their size.
Absolutely. It really allows, I think, very small businesses now. I mean, if you just think about it, I mean, I bet you there's people listening to this podcast all over the world, right? And I imagine how you could sell advertisements in different places all over the world too. And you'd have to collect money. And you think 10 years ago, that would have been literally impossible.
Right.
Just completely impossible.
They put the money on.
It's not. It's just a matter of making some decisions and, probably paying tens of dollars a month for a software solution. And then it's amazing.
They put the money on the boat. The boat comes over here. I got it a month later. Maybe not. Amazon Porch Pirate steals my cash.
Yeah.
Insurance, InsurTech. Is that an area you find interesting?
Absolutely. And it's an area we've looked at for a long time and are now just really starting to make some investments in. It's an interesting market because, kind of people always, insurance is, sold, not bought. And it continues to kind of be the case. And so we didn't really do a lot on a lot of the kind of online brokers. We're starting to kind of look more closely at that space. One of the challenges in insurance is it's really hard to make an insurance product. You need to have billions of dollars usually, lots of money and a lot of track record. You'd be licensed. It's not really something that a lot of startups have been able to do. And so there have been some really early firms who went down that path and are now, really starting to come up with some differentiated solutions. I mean, foremost in our mind is a company called Hippo, which sells, homeowners insurance policies. And they actually just acquired one of our companies at the end of last year, a company called Shelter, which was basically allowing homeowners to very easily do preventative maintenance and have kind of those, the monthly checkups you should do on your home, but you probably don't, like cleaning your gutters out, checking the filter underneath the dishwasher. And so it was a great product. And, I think what Hippo's motivation for acquiring is that, hey, we're selling this homeowners insurance to people over the internet. And we really need to have a way of touching them and really showing value. And if we can go and, offer this solution to our customers at the same time, it's going to do preventive maintenance. It reduces the likelihood of a loss on these policies. It's going to be a real significant advantage. And that's the kind of stuff you're starting to see now, which is really interesting. And that's something that, fortunately for my State Farm agent, they probably just can't do.
Right.
Be the nicest person in the world, but they're not going to come over here and clean my gutters out. That's a really interesting way that you see technology really fundamentally changing the shape of some of these products. And I think you'll see a lot more of that in the coming years.
I was blown away we talked to Hippo back in 2017 on the Friday FinTech segment. Even then, of course, I was blown away just by what they were talking about at that stage about bringing to market. And the fact that they're rocking it is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Quirky stuff. areas we didn't talk about that you're really interested in, or maybe not so quirky, just something that we didn't really touch on, Ryan?
What's interesting is there's still some massive parts of the market where there is very, very little innovation, very little startup activity, where we'd love to see more. What's happening right there's a massive shift as people start retiring later in this country, and a lot of them are going to retire. There still isn't a lot of fintech solutions that are really focused on that. There really aren't that great of solutions out there right now for people who, might want to continue working, may need to start drawing down retirement. You don't see as much in homeownership as you'd expect for it being such a large market, and the fact that a lot of the early entrants have done very, very well.
Yeah.
That's one area where we're continuing to look for stuff. The other thing is, it's not as positive a subject, but the fraud. And you mentioned the Amazon porch pirate. That's kind of the stupid fraud. There's a lot of stupid fraud that happens online too that is probably far more lucrative for criminals than that. And then there's a lot of very sophisticated fraud that's really kind of exploding. That's an area where we're going to need a lot more interesting solutions too, as so much more commerce kind of moves the internet.
I have a feeling you and I have lots of interesting conversations to come, my friend.
I hope so.
Lots and lots. Well, tell me what's going on at the studio. What's happening at Financial Venture Studio?
And I really appreciate you letting us be on it so early in the year, because we're in a process of looking for our next batch of companies. And so we've got January 20th, our application's open. And so if anyone's out there and they've got an idea, or they know somebody, or they're working with a team that's working on something interesting, we'd love to hear from you. Go to finventurestudio.com and just apply directly. We're a seed fund, and so we kind of invest throughout the year, but we open up this application process at least once a year, so that we're kind of caps a wide as net as possible. We're pretty early, and so we want to go outside those traditional networks and reach founders who might not have an obvious connection to us. And then we'll be working with another group of companies and help them continue to be successful. And hopefully we get a few more of them to come talk to your listeners.
We absolutely love talking to companies that you guys work with. And what I appreciate most about your studio, it isn't, obviously these are companies that need funding, but even more than that, they need to be plugged in with the right people. And you guys are so good at laying over your expertise, having done this time after time and time again, that helping that entrepreneur hook up with the right people, I think that might be sometimes even more important than the money.
Oh, it's absolutely more important than the money. There are far few great ideas, and then there's to make those successful, it just takes a lot of people. One of the interesting things about financial services is it really does take a collaborative approach. It's very hard to go in this market and start breaking things and tossing things aside and try to put them back together on the back end. You can't really get away with that for very long. And so we really do try to, at the earliest stages, kind of plug people in a constructive way. So they're talking to the regulators in a way that's going to be helpful long term. They're talking to guys like you who can open up audiences and kind of help them touch new customers. Talking to partners who can help them scale. Bank of America, it's very easy, you kind of referenced, early on, it's easy to say, these products suck. All these big banks aren't going to do anything. But it's just a reality is that they're the heart of the financial services industry.
Yes.
And so you need to figure out how to work with these partners pretty early if you're going to try to build a big business.
Well, just to be clear, I didn't say all big banks sucked. I just said Bank of America sucks. So just to be clear, just to put my spin exactly where it belongs. Right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Ryan, for hanging out with me, though, and talking about the future fintech. And by the way, if anybody out there knows somebody that has a great idea, they should be talking to Ryan and company. We'll have a link on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com to Financial Venture Studio. Ryan, thanks a ton, man. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Hey, let's take out the magnifying glass and help somebody do better with their money. Today's hotline call comes to you courtesy of magnifymoney.com. You know what happens when you head to stackingbenjamins.com/magnifymoney? You find those financial products you use every day. Well, they're nowhere near the best in class, especially if you went to your brick and mortar bank. Over 92% of the things you use every day financially available online and all ranked at magnifymoney.com. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/magnifymoney for more. Interesting call today talking about Magnified Money, because we actually have a caller who's asking a little bit about something that's in Magnified Money people's wheelhouse. Let's say hi to Carter.
Hey, Joe and OG. First off, I just want to thank you guys for playing my first call in to you guys on my birthday. That was an awesome little birthday gift. Didn't take any of your advice, though. I'm still in debt up to my eyeballs. I just was wondering if you had time for a little history lesson for me. 27. Been in the workforce for about 3 years now. Work for a big defense company. And, trying to save a few bucks here and there. And I went to Magnified Money like you guys recommend, and I found a bank account that offers me 2% in savings. So pretty ecstatic about that, and went and signed up. And I don't know what it is about when you do something good for your finances, it just makes you feel good, a little cocky, whatever you want to call it. And so I went to work the next day trying to spread the love, I guess, and just telling one of my coworkers, hey, go to Magnified Money and get a pretty good savings account and get some interest, And one of my coworkers that sits next to me chimed in. He's a little bit older than me. I think he's probably about, 35 maybe, not too much older. And he mentioned that, in 07, he got a savings account that offered 5%. I don't know if it was APY or monthly. I'm assuming it was APY because it just seemed a little high for a savings account, even in 07 for me. But I wasn't around during that time. Really, I was in high school. I wasn't really paying too much attention to the interest rates of banks. And then he also had mentioned that he got a checking account, and he still has one now, that he had opened in 07 that gave him 1% a month. And that just seemed pretty high to me. So I'm just curious, is that kind of what the interest rates were back then? Like I said, since I wasn't, banking at the time, really, I just want to know what you guys have seen throughout your careers. Thanks. Hey, just so you guys know, I'm still an extra large.
Hey, thanks for the call, Carter. And what's interesting is about a third of the way through your call, down the stairs to the basement comes Mr. Magnified Money himself, Brian Kareemzad, or because he's the sponsor, we just call him Brian the Great. What's going on, man?
I'm all right. Actually, what I was surprised is your mom let me use your powder room before I came down here. You go into those and you usually find a wicker basket with something. In some houses, it has some potpourri and a candle. Other houses, it has some toiletries from the Sheraton collected in 1997. Your mom in the basket, she had 4 sticks of native deodorant.
Isn't it?
For guests. I don't know what she's trying to say about your guests and friends, but it was different.
Well, I'll tell you what it really means, Brian. It means we're all about the sponsors here. It's exactly what it means, Mr. Sponsor. Or it might mean that we have to put up with neighbor Doug. Like it could be maybe a little bit of both.
I was disappointed that your neighbors weren't Michael Keaton and Terry Garr. That was always my image of suburban Detroit.
I apologize for that. Although I do know the phrase 220 or 221, whichever it takes.
Yeah, exactly, Mr.
Do know that one. Well, let me ask you about this, my friend. 2007, when he talks about interest rates on savings accounts, maybe not a direct savings account, Brian, but certainly a money market around 2007 would be in the 5% range.
Oh, yeah. Back then, you can get money markets in that range, CDs. A lot of people got lucky and locked them in for 3 or 5 years at the 4% plus range. Now, you have to think about it, though. Back then, it wasn't as exciting as it might seem now, because back then inflation was running, 3%, almost 4%. So you weren't quite sure if that was going to accelerate up to 5-6 like it has in the 70s, 80s, maybe even a little bit in the 90s, not much. But that was the thinking at the time, right? And that's why, in part, why rates were as high as they were. You had to be a wizard to predict that it would be an incredible bargain at the time. But it wasn't unheard of back then. Today, you're lucky to find a savings account around 1.5%. CDs you can get, in that 2 to 3% range. So, depending on your needs over the next few years, take a look. You go on Magnify Money. You can find the best online rates that are probably higher than your local bank or credit union, and build yourself a CD ladder.
When I go check the rates at Magnify Money, and we, talk about them maybe probably every third week here, the list of names going above 2% is higher by the week by maybe 1 or 2. So finding 2% or higher is not as hard as it used to be.
Yeah, it is. The CDs have held in pretty well. It's those savings accounts were things in the last 6 months as banks have caught up with the Fed lowering its rates. They dropped those as well. Those short-term accounts, the savings accounts, are the most sensitive to what the Fed does. The CDs, they're a bit longer term, so they'll fluctuate a bit less and more in line with basically what treasury bonds of that duration are doing. So if you really want to get geeky about it, you can go compare your CDs to treasury bond rates.
I was going to ask you about that, not about comparing them to treasury bond rates. I'll let nerds like you do that. Nerds like me, though, what I wonder about, though, Brian, is, and I think you hinted at this, when you said they're longer term, that means the banks are okay with staying above 2% because of the fact they know they're probably going to hold your money for a long enough period of time that with interest rates probably coming back in the future, coming back up, that's why they're still paying a higher rate?
Yeah, what's really happening is a lot of them are just matching what they call the maturity. So, you give them a 3 years, your deposit into a 3-year CD, and call it, 2.5%. They're going out and making a used car loan for 4.5%, 5% for 3 years. And that's how they're making their money right now.
Let's talk about the other side of that. He said 1% per month on a checking account. Not only do I not remember that in 2007, I don't remember that. I mean, that's a 12% a year. What do you think he's talking about?
Yeah, it sounds insane, but with these checking accounts, the banks are always trying to get new customers, and they're willing to pay for them because once you get into a checking account, it's really sticky. So they're willing to lose some money on a checking account customer because they're hoping you're going to go get your mortgage from the bank, or you're going to go, bring some savings money in there and open up a CD. So some of the highest rates actually today are on what we call rewards checking accounts. Now, the catch is they're only going to give you that rate up to, call it $1,500, right? So it's not going to cost them a whole lot to give that to you.
I got you. So they're not getting it on everything, and it's a promotional rate and probably not forever. Do you see these go forever, though?
Yes, a good question. I mean, there's some with decent rates that don't have any sort of expiration. The rate could change, at any time, but there's some good ones out there that don't have an explicit expiration. It's just that cap on what they give you each month that makes it sticky. Some of them have things like number of debit card, ATM card usages in a month, all kinds of hoops like that.
I've noticed the last 5-6 years that we've worked together that some of the names at the top stay the same when we look at savings account rates or CD rates or even lending rates or credit cards. But if we go all the way back to 2007, has that been almost a full turnover of the names at the top, or any idea how much turnover we have? Like, how often, I guess what I'm directly saying is this: how often do I need to go back to Magnify Money and check and see if my savings account's still competitive?
I think you should go there at least twice a year because rates change so often, and because you have two new entrants going on here. The first one is online banks are almost non-existent, or online accounts were almost non-existent, 10 years ago. Today, you have banks that just collect deposits online, and they're willing to pay a higher rate because they don't have all the branches they have to maintain, and the cost to market and reach you is lower. So you have more options that have higher rates available if you shop around. The other is credit unions have consistently been more aggressive in this cycle. On the rate side for deposits, what's going on the back end is you have a lot of credit unions getting risky on things like car loans and even mortgages, filling some of the holes that the banks have been afraid to go to. But they're able to do that by attracting deposits with some good rates. So, you'll see a bank that, a credit union that'll come in for maybe 3 or 6 months with a really attractive rate and then pull it. But they'll grandfather it in for people who come in and open an account by a certain period. There was one last month, actually. I think it was a credit union in Pennsylvania had a 3% 2-year CD. They announced they were pulling it, but as long as you'd open an account by November 30th, you were able to lock in that CD rate.
Wow, yeah. That's fantastic. Well, so lucky you stopped by right now. I mean, literally, I just am listening to this, and here you are. So thanks so much for stopping by, Brian.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to staying the weekend too. If you got a spare room,
we'll have you back.
My flight canceled at Metro, so I may have to be here the weekend.
We'll have you back Monday. How about that? Let's talk debt on Monday. It's board game weekend, Brian. Hey, if you've got a call for the Lifeline, head to stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail. And like Carter, we will tackle your question. And every once in a while, we get somebody with us like Brian that actually knows the answer, which is crazy. All right, now it's time to begin a new decade. We got a brand new 8-ball this year. It's a brand new decade. So excited. First time this 8-ball's been in the driver's seat. Len, you think it's ready? You give it a pep talk?
It's the new, this is the newbie here. So it's ready. I think it's ready to go, and we're going to get hopefully something more than just all yes answers. That's for sure. And let's do it again this year. We'll do the $50 per correct question.
All right, thank you very much. Charity. The Plutus Foundation is going to love that. Paula, you want to do the honors and kick off the new decade?
Absolutely. So the first question to the Magic 8 Ball in the new decade. Will Prince Harry and Meghan Markle open, on the topic of charity, since Len, you're so generously donating to the Plutus Foundation, will they open a U.S. branch of their charity, Sussex Royal? And I think the way to really... because I'm not sure that they would actually, because it's a British charity, actually form papers in the U.S. So let's phrase this as, will they host a major fundraising event in the U.S. for their charity?
Will they host a fundraiser for the charity?
In the U.S.
In the U.S. Got it.
Everything points to no.
Oh. That seems logical to me. That seems logical, don't you think? I mean, it's a British charity.
It is a British charity. There's been some speculation in the press about how Meghan thinks that they have an opportunity to raise a lot more funds if they tap the Hollywood crowd.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So it might be a way to spread some of the awareness of the issues that the charity wants to spread awareness of, as well as raise funds. But we shall see a year from now whether or not the charity Sussex Royal has any U.S. fundraising going on.
You know that thing about turning over a new leaf in the new decade, Paula?
Yeah.
Not your thing, is it?
Well, hey, the thing is, I used to always ask about are Will and Kate going to have a baby? Harry and Meghan going to have a baby? But you know what? What's all this focus about babies? Let's talk about what they're actually doing. Let's talk about their charitable work.
That is fantastic. OG?
All right, I'll do a real boring market-related one because Debbie Downer over there is going to always talk about, is the Dow going to be below 10,000 next year? No, it won't be. We had a good year. So is the good going to continue? So closing value this year is going to be higher next year.
So we're going to have to record this before the end of the year. So you want to go December 15th, by December 15th? Deal.
Sure.
All right. Len, will the Dow Jones be higher December 15th than it is here at the beginning of the year?
Well, let's find out.
There is no doubt.
All right. We're up at least 1%. I mean, with our background, you know what that means. Flip a coin. All I got to say is it very well might be, or not. Or not. I'm going to do one from the Basement Facebook group. Gregory here asks a good question. And I'm actually going to ask him because we've had people wanting this. But will former roundtableist Greg McFarland make an appearance on the show in 2020? That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
For people who've been around, and by the way, I will ask him, Gregory, and I think it's a good question because I really don't know. He very well. Len, what would you think before we ask if I asked Greg if he was coming on? What do you think?
I think he'd say no.
There's a part of me that thinks he'd say no. What do you think, Paula?
I think he would consider it, but then ultimately say no.
That's kind of my thought too. He'd go, no, I think I'm done. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll ask him. Will Greg McFarland make an appearance on the show this year?
It is best not to say now.
Well, we knew that ahead of time, 8 Ball, but we're going to ask again. Oh, we got to get the creepy music out of the way first.
The answer is unclear. Try again.
Man, the 8 Ball feels the way we do.
You can rely on that.
Oh, the answer is yes. Greg will make an appearance.
Unless it was referencing the 8 ball feels the way we do. Yes, you can rely on that.
Yes. You can rely on the fact that it's going to be a toss-up. All right, Len, time for the hosts.
Okay, well, as a co-champion of this year's trivia contest with Paula, I thought I would rub this into OG a little bit and ask this question. Since we did have a question on the hot dog eating contest. Remember the hot dog? The one of the trivia questions was, how many hot dogs was the hot dog eating champion this year? And I think the answer was 71.
Yeah.
But that's not the record. The record is 74 by Joey
74,
Chestnut.
right?
Yes. In
That's right.
2018. My question is, in 2020, will the record be broken? Will the hot dog eating record of 74 be broken in 2020?
Because it didn't happen this year, to your point.
That's correct. Yeah. It did not.
All right.
So let's see.
Yes.
It will be broken.
There you have it. That's definitive.
Will it be broken by Paula? That'll be my question. No, probably won't be my question. All right, that's the end of round 1. Paula, time for round 2. What do you got for the 8 ball now?
Okay, I am going to ask about Harry and Meghan and having a baby. Because, if they're going to have a second kid, I think 2020 would be the year that they would at least announce the pregnancy. So will Harry and Meghan, by the end of the year 2020, announce another pregnancy?
It is a certainty.
Whoa!
He said that with authority, Paula.
Sure did.
With the creepy music.
Wow, Archie's getting a sibling.
OG, that means you, sir, are up to bat.
Thinking a little bit about movies lately. I'm really looking forward to the new Top Gun movie. And it's going to be the summer blockbuster, right? I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm just saying about 70 billion people are going to watch it. Will it be the top grossing movie of 2020? And I know it's going against a Star Wars that just came out, a few weeks ago. So
we got to say then by December 15th then.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
because there might be a movie at the end of the year that's going to crush it, but with our recording schedule.
Anyways, so Top Gun, number 1 grossing movie of 2020.
It cannot be determined at this time.
Oh, yes, it can, 8 ball.
Try again.
Yes, it can.
That is a likely outcome.
Answer is yes, but not quite so certain as it was on Paula's.
Okay. It's critically acclaimed Top Gun number 2.
It's amazing how it has no idea, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, the asking, it's absolutely positive.
I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking
that question.
Oh,
yes, that's decidedly so.
Yes. All right. April asks a question. She says, by the end of 2020, will Amazon drones be delivering beer to my doorstep? Amazon drones by 2020,
or is the producer going to have to ask that question?
Gonna have to go ask April. Hey, April, did that happen? I think we should phrase that as, is the capability going to exist? Let's widen that out. Will drones be making widespread deliveries by December 15th of next year? What do you guys think about that, though? I'm going to say no. I think there's going to be a lot
it's coming, but no.
Yeah, there's a lot of regulations to be worked out.
I think that the technology will be there, but the legal green light will not.
All right, Len. So will we have drones delivering stuff by December 15th of next year on a widespread basis?
Let's see.
Yes, without question.
Bam.
Wow.
It was pretty certain. It disagrees with us. That's a little scary. I mean, not the drones delivering stuff, because I'm all for that.
How many drones will be shot down? with shotguns.
Yeah.
How much?
It just reminds me of the story of like when they were doing electricity for the first time in the farm countries, as they kept on moving electricity further and further west. And there's this rash of fires in homes, and they couldn't figure out why. And it was because some farmers were stuffing the electrical outlets with cotton balls so that they wouldn't waste the electricity, because they didn't have anything to use it for. They didn't have, appliances and things like that to plug in, but they were having them installed in their homes, and so they just said, well, we don't want to waste the electricity. So they would spark and catch fire. And so it just seems like that's what's going to happen with the drones. People are going to be like, the masses of people are just going to be crazy about it. No, Len's thinking, no, this is way more sophisticated than electricity back in the aughts,
And that gets me. This is one of the great things about the new decade. So I'm tired of the last 20 years. We've, it used to be 70s and I'm sorry, Paula, this is before your time, but you'd say in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s and and it was easy to refer to a decade. But the aughts and the teens,
I know, not good.
It's just but now we're in the 20s again. So now you can.
We need a name. We need a name.
Yeah.
Yes, it's about time. All right, Len, you're doing the honors with your second one.
Okay. Have you seen how they're showing all the new UFOs? I mean, they're coming out. They're showing these more and more UFOs. The military's coming out saying,
yes,
look at the UFOs, and I think they're inching towards disclosure. I really do. There's going to come a time very soon where they're just going to come out and say, you know what? There's been aliens. We've known about them for 50 years. I think the time is coming, but I want to get verification from the 8 ball.
Either that,
will disclosure occur in 2020?
Well, either that. Before you get to that, Len, either that, or they're just going to be. It was Earl messing around with that light switch the whole time. There's never been anything. We couldn't get this guy to quit doing it. No. All right. Will we have disclosure that there really are aliens among us this year?
Yes, I am sure.
Oh,
wow.
Another year of the 8 ball going down.
He's just
Have
like,
we had many?
another yes man.
I tell you about this 8 ball. He really does have a hard time saying no.
He does. Paula.
All right.
Last one.
Well,
make it good.
As we know, every year, it's a time-honored tradition that I always ask about the British royal family, and I always ask about South America. So this year, to kick off the new decade, I'm going to combine the two.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to ask if Charles and Camilla, or William and Kate, or Harry and Meghan, if any of those couples will do an official tour in South America. Will any of them visit South America in the year 2020?
That could be a big yes. That could be an easy yes, couldn't it?
Not necessarily.
Do the British still own the Falklands?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, they do.
Is that considered South America?
Yes.
Can they go visit the Falklands?
I suppose so. Yes.
So is Easter Island is also considered South America?
Yes, Easter Island is South America, is considered South America.
So if they go to Easter Island, that would count too.
Is Easter Island owned by the British?
I would love to see pictures of them on Easter Island with the big statues.
Yes.
What a great photo op.
No,
riding one of those turtles.
Chile owns Easter Island.
All right, Len. Will the Royals visit South America?
Highly doubtful.
Well, Harry doesn't care because he's having a baby.
Yeah. Harry and Meghan having another one?
Yes. They don't got time to travel. They've got other stuff going on. All right. That means we're back to OG. Pressure's on, man. Big last prediction.
All right. I'm not very creative today, so I don't have any other questions. So reaching into the bag from the basement, here's one from Tim. to ask about one of our panelists here today. So the question is, will Paula interview either Warren Buffett or Bill Gates? And will, in fact, either of those two people say to Paula that they can, in fact, afford anything?
I hope so.
Nice job, Tim. That'd be a hell of a get, Paula.
That's pretty funny.
That'd be amazing.
You got to tell them, while they're there, they just hang out a little bit and I'll interview them too. Just bring your friends along.
It'd be better than Susie Orman. Getting Warren Buffett on the show.
That'd be funny if Warren Buffett told you that he didn't understand the FIRE movement. I don't get it. Damn kids.
90-year-old with $1 gazillion. Yeah.
Yeah, he's barely over Susie's number.
Yeah, exactly.
Barely saved enough. All right.
Warren's like, I think I need to stay in the workforce for another decade.
That's the whole reason he's working. He asked Susie. Susie said, you can't retire. All right, Len, will Paula interview Warren or Bill, and they tell her that she can afford anything? Or
I don't think she will. Or let's see what the 8-ball thinks.
That they can afford anything, right? Yes.
The answer is yes.
Ooh, I'm interviewing either Warren or Bill this year. Mr. Buffett or Mr. Gates.
You're welcome, Paula.
Hi.
You've asked me several times just what benefit do you get out of being on the Stacking Benjamin show? There it is. There it is.
Insight into some of the biggest interviews coming up.
I got to ask a question. I've always been a proponent of emerging markets investments, but I'm going to be a little bit even more straightforward. So the international index, the last 2 years in a row, has been beaten by the S&P 500. So let me ask it this way. Will the international index, will the Schwab International Index, we'll say ticker symbol SWISX, will that beat the S&P 500 in 2020? Up until, let's go, December 15th.
We'll see.
The signs say no.
3 years in a row. Stick with the U.S. By the way, thanks to everybody in the Basement Facebook group asking questions. Some we didn't get to. Will Paula go to Taco Bell in 2020?
Yeah.
There's one. Will the Fed raise rates more than twice by November 2020? Len might want that one. Not sure. Not a political show, but there's a few people want to go near the president question. Will it be a Republican or will it be a Democrat who wins the election? Remember how the 8-ball called Donald Trump. Maybe, Len, maybe you need to ask the question as our last question going into the political year. What do you think?
Let's do it. Sure. Can it do a repeat? Get the correct president? All right. So
it's like 538 or whatever. Isn't that website, that New York Times website that does all the exact projections on all this stuff? This is just like that.
This is exactly like that. Yes.
Probably the odds of that being accurate are probably just as good. So let's find out.
All right. So how are you going to ask the question, Len?
Well, let's just ask we'll just stick with the incumbent. We'll just say, will President Trump be reelected for the next presidential election?
Here we go.
Drum roll, please.
It is a strong possibility.
That's weak answer.
So basically, he's going to be one of the three people that are up for election.
Should we get a more definitive answer? Yes or no?
Because that's kind of a
that's
maybe.
wishy-washy.
Yeah.
You guys down with that?
Yeah, I mean, because a strong possibility. Okay, we know he's going to be his party's nominee.
Yeah, sure. Not good. Yeah, let's get a better answer here.
The outcome cannot be predicted.
Oh, here we go.
I wouldn't want to answer this either.
Let's try.
8-ball is dodging the question.
It totally is.
I'll ask the question again. Will President Trump be reelected in 2020?
The answer cannot be found at this moment.
Oh my god!
Wow, you're gonna break the eight ball.
You're gonna have to try a different angle of the axe.
This is like a politician on a Sunday news show. Well,
Joe, why don't you try phrase the question? Maybe I'm phrasing it wrong.
I'll do it the other way. Right now as we do this, Bloomberg's in there too, right? As an independent, I think. So will anybody besides Donald Trump be the new president?
President-elect.
Be the new president-elect in 2020?
No.
Wow. Well, there it is.
Yeah.
It called Trump last time. It didn't want to do it, Paula.
Well, I mean, technically, it could still be the case that we just don't have a president after this. Because the Magic 8 Ball didn't specifically say that Trump would be. It just said that nobody else would be, right? So
that is true.
Maybe we go back to a monarchy after this.
Will Harry and Meghan help birth a new nation?
Man, that U.S. branch of their charity is really going out of control.
I feel bad for people that are new to this show because they have no idea what the hell just happened. I thought this was a finance show. What the heck is that all about? Big thanks to everybody in the Basement Facebook group for those questions. You want to join them, head to stackybenjamins.com/basement, and that will give you the link to get there instead of the long link. And you can chat with us also over there. But let's see what's going on where you guys are. OG, how are you celebrating the first weekend of the new year?
Drink, drunk.
Perfect. It's great. Just like right now on the show.
No, just kind of hanging out. We got a big trip scheduled in a couple weeks from now, so we are just watching football and hanging close to home.
That is my favorite way to spend a weekend. Paula, what's happening at Afford Anything?
On the crazy Afford Anything podcast, we do answer serious questions with serious answers. And I've got this wacky guy named Joe Saul Seahigh who joins me to answer such questions.
Yeah, and we have so much fun.
We have a great time. So that's on the Afford Anything podcast if you want to actually learn something.
Oh, that's
myself and Joe Saul Seahigh imparting knowledge.
Crazy talk. What kind of show would do that?
Exactly.
Mr. Penzo, tell the 8 Ball thank you from all of us, from humanity. Thank you.
Well, I'm sure it's if it could talk, say anything other than yes or no or ask me again, I'm sure it would say you're very welcome.
And by the way, big thanks to you, sir, for the help with the Plutus Foundation.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. And maybe hopefully in 2020 we can do a clean sweep.
That would be fantastic. Tell us I made the mistake. I made you go after Paula, but no worry. She just said I'm going to be on the show. So that's beatable.
Well, yeah, but she said that you would learn something too. And unlike where my blog, you don't learn anything either. So you won't learn anything usually, but this week you will learn something because I have a guy named Joe Saul Seahigh who actually wrote an article for me many years ago, and I'm rehashing it for old time's sake. Do you remember what that article was, Joe?
No, but I totally remember asking you if I could do it.
Yes, and you did it, and it was a great article, and I just want to rerun it for the holiday New Year's weekend, and it's called it's called Moron Alert, How One Man Paid $87,500 in IRA fees, basically, that he didn't have to. Remember that?
Yes. Well, I don't just remember the piece. I remember who did it.
Well, this is your story, and it's really a really good story, entertaining story. So
I kind of feel left out.
And just so you know, Len, I saw that guy again recently at an event, and I got angry the second I saw him.
Is that right?
It was the dumbest. Well, people have to go there and check it out. But
it's a fantastic story. No, really good stuff.
That's awesome. And that's at lenpenzo.com. And okay, Doug, you've got it from here, man. What should we have learned today?
Well, Joe, I'll tell you what we should have learned first. Take some advice from our Magic 8 Ball and be absolutely certain about the year ahead. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. And even if you fail, you'll fail forward. Second, wait, isn't that good enough? I mean, we're not going to top that one. That's as good a life advice as you're ever going to get anywhere. Big thanks to the Magic 8-Ball for making an appearance today. You can find your own, less accurate, play-along-at-home version at a discount or toy store or, like dollar store or like a dumpster in a back alley. They're everywhere. Thanks to Ryan Falvey for stopping by. You'll find more on Financial Ventures Studio at finventurestudio.com. Thanks also to Brian Kareemzad for coming by early for his appearance on Monday's show. We'll get Brian a sleeping bag and keep him here locked in the basement, and you can join us back here for our annual Debt Cleanse episode, a.k.a. Oh crap, I spent how much? Coming up on Monday. Len Penzo was gold on today's show, wasn't he? Well, at least he's hoarding it all under his bed. Paula Pant appears courtesy of AffordAnything.com and Afford Anything Podcast. All the Afford Anythings. This show is created by Joe Saul-Sehy, produced by Karen Rapine, and engineered by the amazing Steve Stewart. Online, visit us on Twitter at SBenjaminsCast or on our Facebook page. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and I'm pretty much the guy in charge of everything around here. Trust me, this well-oiled machine didn't get like this all by itself. SB Podcasts may receive payment on the show from sponsors and guests in the form of books, giveaway items, discounts, or other remunerations. That's a big word. There's no way you take advice from these dorks, but like Joe's mom always says, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only, and before making any financial decisions, consult with a real financial advisor.
Okay, does anybody else have a iRobot vacuum cleaner?
Oh, I do, and it's broken, and I haven't fixed it for like 2 years. So it's just a giant paperweight.
Yeah, they sell new ones. You just pick one up. This is the greatest thing ever created. First of all, it's mesmerizing. Like, I've probably 2 bottles of wine so far in the last 2 weeks since Christmas, just sitting there watching this thing like make laps in the house.
Somebody seriously needs a hobby. Like if you get mesmerized.
That somebody told me when I saw my buddies this years ago, he's like, you can't watch the thing. It'll make you go crazy because it doesn't make sense to you, like the path that it takes. And then you're like, oh, okay. Wait, maybe I can figure. I think it's going to go over there next. And then it like literally stops, turns around and goes like in a completely different direction. You're like, how does it know? It's so cool. Do this for yourself, people. Go buy a vacuum cleaner robot thing. It's so awesome.
So how long does it take to do like a 10 by 10 room?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to it yet.
Despite the incredible amount of time you've spent observing it.
Exactly.
Well, it changes its mind. It's like really weird.
It hasn't finished yet.
Yeah, it does like half the bedroom, and then it stops and like goes somewhere else, and you're like, you missed this whole third of the bedroom, and then it'll go do the some other part of the house, and then come back. But the first several times that it does it, it like maps out like the house, and then you can like divide up the rooms and say, okay, go clean the bedroom or go clean the bathroom or whatever. Like, so I don't have an answer of like how long it takes to do like the kitchen, because right now we run it for like, I think it takes maybe like total of maybe 5 hours. It's got to charge once to do the downstairs. So it like does something and then it charges for like 2 hours and then it finishes it up, but it's only completed the house like twice. but it's on. It just like drives around. It's just amazing. It's really cool.
What's fun is watching YouTube videos of cats riding on top of iRobots.
Ours is very protective. Like anytime the thing gets anywhere close to its food, it like goes over to the food and starts eating it.
Like it thinks it's in competition.
Yeah, I think so. And like she'll like sit up on the highest part she can in the room, wherever it is, and she'll watch it. But then like if it goes under a couch, like then she gets freaked out. She's like, where did it go? And she'll like run around, chase it, and then find it again. And once it's out in the open, she's fine. She'll just sit there and just kind of.
By the way, that's when
things cost.
Kill it.
How much do those things cost?
I want to say that it was probably like $600 or $700.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like there's different levels of them. You can spend $200 if you want.
Lens out.
See, that's why I haven't bought a new one, and I'm too lazy to fix mine. So now I've just had a broken one sitting around in a corner of my my living room for years.
Dirty floors, like you wouldn't believe, I imagine.
Oh yeah,
You know what,
filthy.
The honeybee bought one for $450 with a Dyson, really lightweight one, and I watch her do. She does the whole house in like 8 minutes.
That is.
You sit over there and watch her.
By the way,
You're
send
like,
your
you with a couple of glasses of wine. You're like, this is amazing. I don't.
This is the best $450 she ever spent.
send your hate mail to Len at lenpenzo.com. Please don't send me hate mail. We say mean things about honeybees and vacuums. We don't do that.
Anyways, this was my greatest gift, Christmas present to myself.
I'm glad you're easily entertained.
It's amazing. Yeah. And it makes little lines in the carpet. So it like looks like your house is clean. That's the other thing that's impressive too, is that, you can just like turn it on before people come over and it like makes the lines like you just vacuumed. Well, somebody vacuumed, the thing did. But then, people come over, they're like, oh, he just vacuumed his house. I can tell there's the lines in the carpet.
I could probably build one for 10% of the cost of what you paid for yours, OG. And it doesn't have to, I don't have to worry about it picking up the dust. All I have to do is make sure it makes the line in the carpet. So people think, sort of totally simplify it. Make it cheaper.
That's right. Yeah.
Perfect. Is that an engineering joke, by the way, Len? Is that just flexing your engineering muscle? I can make that for 10% of the price. Bam. Take that, finance guy. What can you make, OG? A spreadsheet?
No, I just sit with a couple glasses of wine and watch Mrs. OG make spreadsheets. And I'm like, whoa, look at that. She made like all those numbers add up at the same time. That's amazing.
That is so cool. I tell you what, between watching Mrs. OG make spreadsheets and your iRobot, that's a full life you have.
I've had 2 straight weeks of just pure entertainment. It's wonderful.
Basically, so I was like, well, do I fly all the way to Chile for a chance of seeing 2 minutes?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to get by Paula's 70-minute dissertation on cloud cover.
There's different types of clouds. Stratus, cirrus, cumulus, cumulonimbus, stratocumulus. I'm really concerned. The cirrus clouds don't bother me that much, but the low-level stratus or stratonimbus, those are really bad for eclipse watching.
Cover is an interesting word.